for devotees all that is troublesome to the heart. Soul must completely destroyed. In loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise the transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact.
Jai. So, yes, so we are doing Srimad Bhagavatam class. We're going to do, because it's just me and Madhav, we'll do a special class. We'll wait for our group to continue our normal reading. But I was listening yesterday to a class, and this was the theme about how Krishna is conquered with affection. And there was a verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and I couldn't find it because I didn't remember it properly. But the theme is there, and I found this in the Bhagavatam. So I wanted to share something on this today. So this is our good fortune that we get to visit this pastime. If you don't know anything about Chitraketu, actually it's very interesting. We're talking about this on Putrada Ekadashi, because Putrada Ekadashi is a special fasting day in which one of the main benefits one can get is the benediction of a son. And there's so many reasons in the Vedas why having a son is very, very nice. Especially in ancient times, sons, they carry on the dynasty and they're responsible for doing all kinds of religious activities after you pass to help you in your deliverance and your journey forward. Son, and the word for son in Sanskrit is putra. There's two roots there, and they mean, putra means, pu is father, and tra means to free, to liberate the father, he who liberates his father. So this is what a son is. So it's very, very auspicious to have sons. So anyhow, at least one son is recommended. You should have at least one son in the family. Daughters are very nice too, but if you have a family without a son, it's considered in the Vedic understanding to be not nearly as a good situation for you afterwards, and then also even in this life. There's a certain joy that a son can bring that is unmatched. I'm experiencing a little bit. My son is now 8 months old, 8.5 months old. So there's a lot there just in having an 8.5-month-old baby, but I'm excited to see, if he's a good son, the pleasure and joy that he can bring later on. And you may say, why a son over a daughter, and things like this. Daughters bring great happiness, especially to the father as well. The daughters bring great happiness to their fathers, especially as well. But daughters are women as a, you could say a class or a subspecies as part of the human species, are a bit more submissive and dependent than men, even though we're in a society that is actively trying to reverse these roles, but it's actually just not natural. The male is, nature is to be stronger, more, rigid in mind, and even colder in one's emotions, to problem solve and to solve problems, and and to lead and to exert one's strength and power and intellect in the world. Whereas women are actually more powerful than men because they control men, but they're more submissive and more emotional by nature, and more beautiful, and they are more creative and sensitive. And actually, this is, all the most powerful men in history could easily be subdued by a woman, actually. So this is, like, I think Alexander the Great got subdued, if I'm remembering history right, by Cleopatra. This is, or was it Caesar? It might have been Caesar. One of these great rulers. It was a woman who brought him down to his knees. And actually, there's no... that being said, though, there are certain roles that each of the sexes perform in society. And one of the roles, or at least religiously, a son is said to do is to deliver one's forefathers, but also to carry on the family legacy and take charge and responsibility for that. And to continue whatever the business is or whatever they may be passing on to the son. The eldest son is recommended because they can properly manage these things, whereas usually the tradition is giving away one's daughter to another family, and so a lot of times the daughter gets adopted or inherited into another family, and their priorities may not be in carrying on the legacy of the original family she was born in. So it's said that each family should have a son for this reason. I'm even practically seeing in my wife's family that practically all have left the business except the eldest son. He is expected, and it's looking like he will inherit that family business, because this is actually natural. So anyhow, why are we talking about this? Today is Putrida Ekadashi, and Putrida Ekadashi is a day that one can secure the blessings of the Lord by performing a fast on this day, by performing spiritual activity on this day, that you can secure that you will have a son. And having at least one son, one long-lasting, healthy son, is a great, great benediction. So, if you're looking for a son, today's the day. But in the Bhagavatam, there's another story of a great king named Chitraketu, who we're going to read about today. And Chitraketu, he had 10,000 wives, and as it was normal for a great king to have back then, many, many wives, totally different set of dynamics. You can agree with it or not, but that was the case. He had 10,000 wives. And but he was unable to have a son for many of them. So there's another famous king of modern history where I think it was King Henry the something, and he was famous because he was blaming the women for not bearing him a son, and every wife that he tried who wouldn't bear him a son, he ended up killing her, and he was a very brutal, horrible king. But anyway, so he would kill the wives that wouldn't give sons, and then it was eventually found out through modern science that actually it's the man. It's whether he's able to give the proper chromosome to give the son, and this goes back to the Vedic understanding. It's up to getting the man to get the blessings to have a son, not for the woman. You can imagine that the man is planting the seed and the woman is the fertile field. But if you don't have the right seed, let's say you wanted to plant pumpkins, but you're planting corn instead, and you keep getting corn, you're not going to get pumpkins because you're not planting the right seed. So it's actually up to the man to plant the proper seed. So anyway, Chitraketu could not plant the proper seed among 10,000 wives, and he did not have any sons. And he was lamenting very heavily about this, very heavily lamenting. Ultimately, he became very unhappy, him and his wife. And by good fortune, though, he came across Narad Muni, and I think what rishi? I think I want to say Atri Rishi. It starts with an A. What is his name? It's going to bother me very much, very intensely. Well, the Rishi along with Narad Muni, who is, let's say it's Atri Rishi, but it doesn't sound right to me. But anyway, Angira Rishi, that's it. I'm very happy that I was able to come across it. So Angira Rishi and Narad, and then they blessed him that you will have a son, no problem, but it will cause you great misery. And for whatever reason, this was his lot in life. So why would it cause him great misery? Because what ended up happening is that he was given some special benediction, some special prasadam food item from a yagya, and he was to feed it to his chief queen, usually the first queen or, the favorite queen. And so the chief queen was given her sweet rice, and she ate, and a beautiful, wonderful son was born. But then afterwards, it was common in family dynamics where there's multiple wives, is that there may be jealousy among the wives, especially if one group of wives is not as favored as another group of wives. So this happened, and what happened was they actually decided they would. He was favoring the mother of his son so heavily that they decided they would poison the son. And on poisoning the son, which is a very horrible act, the son died, and they were completely distraught. And the king was even more sad than he was when he started. So actually, this is the nature of the material world. Many lessons could be learned from this. We may pray for many things. Oh Lord, please give me a lady. Oh Lord, please give me some money. Oh Lord, please give me this, that, and the other thing. But when you get those things, they're oftentimes very hard to maintain. And you experience more misery in losing them than before you even started. Like a person who's been poor all of his life is not he's content with being poor. That's what he's known. But a person who has become very rich and then he loses all his money somehow and he becomes poor, he's a miserable man. And similarly, a man who, that has been single his whole life, no problem. But then a man who finds a lady but then loses the lady, he will be very, very upset. So similarly also, a man who has no son or no children and then loses the child, he is more miserable. So he's extremely miserable now. And but Narad Muni and Angira, they come back and they predicted this. And he was begging them, Narad, please do something. So Narad actually gave him the greatest benediction. Because why? We are, and this is going to be relevant as to how the theme of today is conquering God. But right now we are focusing on temporary material things, which can actually never give happiness because they all have to be lost. Even if you have a wonderful son and a wonderful family, daughter and a beautiful wife or beautiful husband and beautiful money and a beautiful career, all these things, when you die, you'll just your whole beautiful life will be even more, it'll be even more bittersweet, because it's as you lose every one of those things, it's not a happy situation unless you have a relationship spiritually and you can trust that wherever you're going is going to be an even better situation. So, all these things of life. So Narad said, I'm going to give you the best thing. And what does he do? He revives his son because he begged him, please make my son well again and things like this. And he says, okay. And so he revives his dead son. He's a great sage, very empowered. And, he was crying, and maybe 6 days or something like this, they preserved the body in oil and they revived the son. And then Chitraketu is very, very pleased. Yes, my son is living again, my beautiful boy, yeah. But then all of a sudden, the son, he says, where am I? Why have you revived me? And Narad, was saying, well, your father, he's wanted like this. And the son is saying, well, which father? I've had many, many fathers in many, many lifetimes. Which one? And he says, oh, could your father, Chitraketu, and things like this. And the son started giving a huge discourse on spiritual knowledge, how these relationships with relatives and all these things, they're practically meaningless. We've had so many, lifetime after lifetime. Why should I stick around for this set of relatives? I was on to my next set. Why have you brought me back here? And he was disappointed. And so we see even, a lot of times, we lament when someone else dies and things like that. But as you see in this situation, this person had a better existence. He had another situation, and he felt that, well, I don't want to go back to this old thing. I've been, I've been freed of this. And so this whole conversation was very sobering for Chitraketu, very sobering. But actually, it inspired him to give up all of his kingly family life and to become like a great sage. And he actually did. He was, and actually this was the great gift that Narada Muni actually gave him. And sometimes it's very painful. If you are trying to get the highest thing, and that's spiritual knowledge or realization, so much material pain has to come. Like all the disciples of Jesus, for instance, it was so much trouble and hecklement and heckling and harassment, and so many things had to come to them. But ultimately, they were living by higher spiritual principles, and they had to be tested. Well, what do you really want? And some of them failed the test when Jesus was here. Like Peter is famous for denying Jesus 3 times. All the other disciples went missing when he was put through the passion of the Christ, and all these things. But ultimately, if you want to get the highest thing, you have to be willing to give up all the lower things. Like if you're trying to go on a journey and carry something wonderful, but you're lugging around a bunch of stones, and I say, oh, no, take this instead. And what are you going to do? Oh, yes, pile this on top of my stones. You'll be uncomfortable the whole time. Better you travel. If I have some many gold rings to give you, just carry these gold rings. They're much more valuable than all you around these iron balls. Why are you doing like this? So similarly, our pleasures, our family pleasures, and all the pleasures of this world are like giant money. All these things are like giant iron balls, and if you carry around these things, and you put all your energy into carrying and lugging these things around because you have to work for these things, then you have no time to carry all these. Something much more valuable can be given to you, but you have no room. So similarly, this was happening in Chitraketu's life with his kingdom and even his new son and everything. But Narada, he said, no, don't worry about this. I'm going to give you spiritual knowledge. And just by seeing how his son was more satisfied with his new destination, this sparked in Chitraketu this whole, well, you know what? If this is the nature of reality, that we're all just recycling birth, death, and different types of miseries in this world, why am I focusing on all these things? And this actually led on to him receiving spiritual wisdom and becoming a great sage. And actually this kind of happens with all the great devotees of the Lord, and even it's happening with us to a minor degree. Even if somehow or other you're someone who's interested in these subject matters, most people will just scroll on by, be like, this guy's crazy, look at the robes he's wearing, why is he singing? He's must be some madman or something like this. But if you know the actual pleasure of devotional life, this other form of life will just be increasingly miserable, actually. And you see it. Any devotee who gets wrapped up in material things, again, it just frustrates and makes them more miserable. So, we should pursue this solely and wholly. And actually, this is the very thing that conquers the Lord. So after receiving all the spiritual knowledge, Chitraketu, he's like awakened to all this, and he starts making these beautiful prayers to the Lord, because that's what Narada and Angira said. This is what you really should focus on. Why are you focusing on, these temporary things like sons and kingdom and wives and money and all these things? You focus on your devotion to the Lord. And so eventually Chitraketu, he said like this. But before we begin, we'll do some prayer. Before I read anything from our acharyas, maybe you can share even the screen.
Sadvaitan, Savadutan, Parijana Sahitan, Krishna Chaitanya Devan, Shri Radha Krishna Paran, Sagana Lalita, Shri Shakanvitanscha, He Krishna Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bandhu Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Vrindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Hari Priya, Pachapamiti Vishta, Kripa Sindhu Devacha, Patitanam Bhavaneva Vaishnaveva Namo Namah, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Namo Vishnudaya, Krishna Pristaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Te Namine, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine, Nivishesha Sundarai Pasitari Satarine.
So, Chitraketu says this verse after composing many, many prayers. So he said, thereafter, by controlling his mind with his intelligence and thus restricting his senses from external engagements, he recovered suitable words with which to express his feelings. Thus he began offering prayers to the Lord, who is the personification of the Holy Scriptures. Also, it should be understood that this is the message of the Son, that he said, what one really should focus on is devotion unto the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Absolute Truth. We should not, all of these temporary things, these are futile. And this actually enlightened his father.
This kind of putra.
Yes, and this is he makes him a true putra, a true son. He delivers his father, and that's sometimes the son is actually supposed to be the one who helps deliver his father, helps his father see clearly if his father steps out of clarity, and hopefully Abhiram can be that. For me, that would be very nice. So, thus he began offering prayers to the Lord, who is the personification of the Holy Scriptures, the Sattva Samhitas like Brahma Samhita and Narada Pancharacha and so on. And who is the spiritual master of all? He offered his prayers as follows. So now we're going to read Chitraketu's prayers. Chitraketuruvacha Ajita Jita Samamati Bihi
Ajita Jita Samamati Bihi
Sadhu Birbhavan Jitatma Birbhavata
Sadhu Birbhavan Jitatma Birbhavata
Vijitaste Pichaba. No, I don't know what is going on here. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I can't figure this out. Ajita Jita Samamati Bihi Sadhu Birbhavan Jitatma Birbhavata Vijitaste Pichabajata Makamatmananya Atmadoti Karunaha. It's the best I can do with this meter. So Chitraketu Avacha, King Chitraketu said, Ajita, O my unconquerable Lord. But we're going to learn today that he is conquerable. Jita, conquered. Samamatibi, by persons who have conquered the mind. Sadhubi, the devotees. Bhavan, your lordship. Jita Atmabi, who have completely controlled the senses. Bhavata, by you. Vijita, conquered. Te, they. Api, also. Cha, and. Bhajatam, to those who always engage in your service. Akama Atmanam, with no motives for material profit. Yaha, who. Atmada, giving yourself. Ati Karuna, extremely merciful. Chitraketu said, O unconquerable Lord, although you cannot be conquered by anyone, you are certainly conquered by devotees who have control of the mind and senses. They can keep you under their control because you are causelessly merciful to devotees who desire no material profit from you. Indeed, you give yourself to them, and because of this, you also have full control over your devotees. Purport. The Lord and the devotees both conquer. The Lord is conquered by the devotees, and the devotees are conquered by the Lord. Because of being conquered by one another, they both derive transcendental bliss from their relationship. This is like the same in mundane relationships too. Friends conquer each other with their love and affection. I give some small example. We were Madhav earlier. We were playing. I was hanging out with some old friends, devotee friends of ours, a group of them. And they all started playing video games, and I have some like addictive tendencies with video games. So I normally avoid video games like plague, because it's done a lot of bad things in my life actually. But I saw and I was like, oh my gosh, like this. And I was thinking, all right, should I play with them? Should I not play? And then I saw this one game that I'm like, oh, I'm really good at this game. And so anyway, we ended up playing the game together. And but I never would have actually, like my brothers can't get me to play video games and things like that. Many people can't. But because I had so much affection for them as friends, that I was saying, you know what? These are my devotee friends. Let me join them in playing the video games. And actually, I had some fun. I had a good amount of time with them. But ultimately, our friendship is based on devotional principles. So it's it's nourishing, rather than just playing video games and being excited. Yeah, I beat you, or things like that. At the end of the day, we went back to our devotional activities. So similarly, when you have a relationship with anyone, like a wife or children, the children are conquered by the love of the parents, and the parents are conquered by the love of the children. Similarly, in the highest relationship, the greatest relationship, the Lord conquers the devotee, and the devotee conquers the Lord. So because of being conquered by one another, they both derive transcendental bliss from their relationship. The highest perfection of this mutual conquering is exhibited by Krishna and the gopis. The gopis conquered Krishna. Oh, you have a lot to say, huh? Yes, this is the day about sons. And my son loves to say, "Dad, you be quiet. I'm gonna give class." So the gopis conquered Krishna, and Krishna conquered the gopis. Gopis are the cowherd ladies in Vrindavan. If you don't know, obviously you know. So thus, whenever Krishna played his flute, he conquered the minds of the gopis, and without seeing the gopis, Krishna could not be happy. Other transcendentalists, such as Gyanis and Yogis, cannot conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only pure devotees can conquer him. Pure devotees are described as samamati, which means that they never deviate from devotional service under any circumstances. It is not that devotees worship the Supreme Lord only when happy. They worship him even when in distress. Happiness and distress do not hamper the process of devotional service. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam says that devotional service is ahaitukiya pratihata, unmotivated and uninterrupted. When a devotee offers devotional service to the Lord without any motive, anyabhilashita shunyam, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So it goes on Nyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Dhyanavrtam Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. So Anyabhilashita is material desire, Shunyam, you're devoid of material desires, of what? Jnana, knowledge in this world, even spiritual knowledge, karma, which is the fruits of one's actions, to perform actions and get results of that, like money or wives or any material thing you can get in this world, any material objective. And adi, which is a state of renunciation or yoga, or a state of mystic abilities, superpowers, things like that. Yanavratam means covered. So you're not covered by these things because you're free of material desires. Anukulyena means favorable. Krishnanu, Krishna is Krishna, and then Anushilanam are services, favorable activities unto Krishna. Bhakti Uttama, this is Uttam Bhakti, this is pure Bhakti. And this is what actually conquers the Lord. This is the secret. If you want to conquer God, then you better be wholly and solely ready to be conquered by God. This is the only way. We sing during Kartik. Iti drik swali labir ananda kunde swagosham nimajantam akyapayantam tadiye shitag yeshu bhakter jitatvam puna prematastam shata vritivande. So what does that mean? It was describing the pastime of how Krishna was bound by the love of his mother in the Damodar Leela, and it's saying iti drik, like this, swalila bir, by your pastimes, ananda kunde, a pool of bliss, swagosham, your residence or your abode, nimajantam, you submerge everyone in that pool of bliss. Akya payantam, and in the same way, informing tadiyeshita, your those who are aware, those associates of yours who tadiyeshita geshu, they're knowledgeable of your godhood, bhakter jitatvam, that you're conquered by bhakti. So if you become knowledgeable of the Lord, you'll actually become aware of this fact that you're actually He's conquered by pure love and devotion, without any material motivation and without any interruption. What are you laughing at? So this is actually this is the secret. But we have so many material motivations. Lord, I'm doing all this worship. Why isn't my financial situation good? Lord, I'm doing all this worship. Why isn't my relationship what I want it to be? Lord, why isn't this duck in a row? Why isn't this here like this? Why isn't this? Why? Because actually we still have many motivations. I'm worshiping you, so therefore I deserve this. I deserve this, this, and this. Give me my daily bread. I want this, this, and this. Not the saying that Jesus wasn't thinking like that, but we're thinking like that. I want this, this, and this in order. But actually this is not pure bhakti, and that's why nothing's happening how we want, because the Lord is not, He's not conquered by this thing. Abhiram is, he's causing an earthquake on the camera by turning. So you see this crazy child. So anyhow, yes, this is our thing. So Prabhupada's saying one should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. And that's 111, 111, I think.
That's a type.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what it.
I think it's 1111.
1111, yes. So that makes more sense. 1111 in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. His service cannot be hampered by any material condition. Apratihata. So a devotee's always, there's no interruption. Like, oh, well, now I have a family engagement. Let me stop practicing bhakti. Oh, now I have work. Let me stop practicing bhakti. Oh, now I have to see my wife or my children. No, it should always be bhakti. throughout the whole thing. If you want to actually, you're interested in pure devotional service. Otherwise, then yeah, you could do a little devotional service in the morning, and then afterwards let me go do this activity and this, that, and the other thing. Oh my God, Aviram. My goodness. Ripping it. Class. So anyhow, so his service cannot be hampered by any material condition. Thus, a devotee who offers service in all conditions of life can conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So no matter what, even if ups and downs, you're still offering service, you're not expecting any result from this, which is hard because, you know, a lot of the times when things are going wrong, you'll start worshiping even more intensely. I'm like, all right, you're going to fix this, right? But actually, this is not pure devotion, and this ultimately is not going to conquer Krishna. This is not the type of relationship that we really are wanting to have with Krishna. Where, oh, come on, fix this, fix everything. Yeah, business. I'm worshiping you. You just see how I offer this, that, and the other thing. But you should do these things purely out of love, and then naturally. Like Jesus was saying, Jesus says, look at the birds, look at the sparrows. They don't work their toil, but their Father, He gives them all their needs, all their food and shelter, everything they need. And He says, do you think He thinks less of you? You know, and all the human beings, you see, you have everything you need, but you don't have everything you want. Gandhi famously said, there's enough for everybody's needs in this world, but there's not enough for even one man's greeds. You know, so there's, it's impossible. And similarly, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that the cause of all sinful activities is lust, and lust burns like fire. Meaning, the more you fulfill your lust, only more lust comes. And then, you know, so even if you are, I'm going to fulfill a little bit of lust. No, if you do that, it's just then you're going to have a whole forest fire of lust, and you're going to want this, that, and the other thing. So the wise person, they cut it off. I'm not going to fulfill these things. I'm going to instead offer, these tendencies in service to the Lord. Let's just say you have some lust for, sex life. Okay, no problem. Get married and have children. But, you also have to be ready for the responsibility. Oh my gosh, so many toots you have, Aviram. There's so much responsibility that comes in that, and you should be ready. And ultimately, not just to have children, you have children to ultimately teach them about God and how to serve God and how we can all more purely serve God together. Right? You'll serve God, hopefully, instead of just tooting in your pants. You'll figure it out, hopefully. So anyway, a special distinction between devotees and the other transcendentalists, namely the Jnanis and Yogis, is that Jnanis and Yogis artificially try to become one with the Supreme, whereas devotees never aspire for such an impossible accomplishment. Devotees know Him, know that their position is to be eternally servants of the Supreme Lord, and never to be one with Him. Therefore, they are called Samamati or Jitatma. They detest oneness with the Supreme. They have no lusty desires for oneness. Instead, their desire is to be freed from all material hankering. Therefore, they are called Nishkama or desireless. A living entity cannot exist without desires, but desires that can never be fulfilled are called kama, lusty desires. Kamais tais ter hita jnanaha in Bhagavad Gita. Because of lusty desires, non-devotees are deprived of their intelligence. I have experienced that in my life many times. Thus they are unable to conquer the Supreme Lord, whereas devotees, being freed from such unreasonable desires, can conquer the Lord. Such devotees are also conquered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because they are pure, being free from all material desires. They fully surrender unto the Supreme Lord, and therefore the Lord conquers them. Such devotees never aspire for liberation. They simply desire to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. Because they serve the Lord without desires for remuneration, meaning like, all right, I served you, Lord, give me this A, B, C, and D. This is my prayer list. I want all these things this year. They can conquer the mercy of the Lord. The Lord is by nature very merciful, and when He sees that His servant is working without desires for material profit, naturally he is conquered. Devotees are always engaged in service. Savai Mana Krishna, Savai Mana Krishna, Padaravindayor, Vacham Shri Vaikuntha Guna Nuvarnane. All the activities of their senses are engaged in the service of the Lord. Because of such devotion, the Lord gives himself to his devotees, as if they could use him for any purpose they might desire. Of course, devotees have no purpose other than to serve. When a devotee fully surrenders and has no aspiration for material profit, the Lord certainly gives him all opportunities for service. This is the position of the Lord when conquered by his devotees. So this is what we should hopefully, by intelligence, we should want to come to. Because if we actually purely offer ourselves to the Lord, allow ourselves to be conquered by God, and want no other thing separate from pleasing and serving God, then guess what? He will offer that same thing back to us. And then any desires that do arise in our position of service, he'll naturally fulfill all of them. And he'll, just like Prabhupada, he came here and he wanted to just purely serve the Lord, serve his Guru, serve the Lord, and spread God consciousness, Krishna consciousness all over. And just see the miracles after miracles that happen, that the Lord, he, completely conquered by Prabhupada's pure devotion. He just, any type of obstacle, he would remove everything so Prabhupada could do exactly what he needed and wanted to do in his service. So similarly, if we develop some type of affection for service, and we learn this art of devotional service from one of the Lord's pure devotees, and we serve them with love and affection, wholly and solely, without any tinge of, all right, okay, Guru Maharaj, I'm going to serve you, or Guru Dev, I'm going to serve you, and but I want a stipend. Please give me some money in return. Please give me this thing or that thing and the other. That's not a pure devotional service, and this is not ultimately pleasing to the Lord. If you want a stipend, you go to work and you can do that. But if you want to serve God, you work freely for the service of the Lord, and you see how the Lord reciprocates. And so this is the not only the duty of the devotee, but this is the desire of the pure devotee. They don't want anything from the Lord. And somehow or other, we have to pray. We have to desire this state. We have to desire. We might say, you know what, I have, unfortunately, due to my offenses, I have so many desires. But I would like to desire. I would like to not desire these things anymore. I have the desire to be free from these such desires. That's like Prahlad Maharaj. He prays to not have any material desires. Even though in Nrsinga he says, you have to pray for something else because you already have no material desires. But this is what the devotee can desire. I desire to have no more material desires because these are my obstacles keeping me away from you, Lord. So we should pray like this. It's hard because on this Ekadashi day, this Ekadashi is in such a way that Ekadashi fulfills all of one's desires. But in the core of your heart, if you pray to Ekadashi Devi, the mother of devotion, if you pray to her for some material desire, this is betraying your pact with the Lord that I don't want to do all these things. So what should we really pray on Ekadashis is that, Lord, please free me from my material desires and give me solely and holy devotion to you. Give me deeper devotion. And you'll see by practicing Ekadashi, the Lord will surely fulfill that prayer and give you a life that's far superior to anything you can imagine in your prayers. A lot of times we work so hard to try and achieve things, but the Lord, He has a better plan than our plans. And if we just purely serve Him wholly and solely, and we can see when it's all settles and it all works out in some due time, we'll see, wow, that's a much better arrangement than I've made for myself or I've tried to make. So anyhow, this is our goal. This is what we're here to do and share. And serve the Lord wholly and solely. Don't feel, I'm going to serve the Lord in the mornings, and then the rest of the day I have my many responsibilities to do. You should be doing all of your responsibilities purely in service to the Lord, not thinking of anything in return. And by doing this, we will conquer the Lord, conquer the unconquerable, who is only conquered by love and affection of his devotee. And similarly, everything that we can imagine, that we'll have a life far better than we could ever imagine. But don't let that be the reason that you're doing it. Let that just be an understanding that the Lord's plan is always better than ours, infinitely. So, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So, good luck with this endeavor.